Good morning. How is everyone? I hope you are all in good shape and in better health, right? So now we have come to the next lesson, and before we begin, let's start with our review, right? So let's have this glimpse, Let's glimpse at what we have learned. Let's have a glimpse of what we have learned last time. Okay, so I have here some questions, and I hope you can read in your screen. So the first question here as part of our review is, what is your own understanding of decentralization? Anyone who can guess or who can give the statement about this question? I hope you have learned in our previous lesson, decentralization. All right, yes, so decentralization is a term used in the political science or in politics, wherein it is the transfer of power or some of power, authority, and other matters from local government to from national government to our local government units. Okay, so there is a transfer of power. Okay, that is decentralization. Now, next question: what are the advantages and disadvantages of decentralization? Ano sa tingin nyo ang magiging benefit ng decentralization based from what we have learned? Anyone? Do you have in do you have answers in your mind right now? Disadvantages. What are advantages as advantages first, of decentralization? All right. So first one, no, because of decentralization, there is now a more focused on better management, no, because we are not just relying on the central government. Okay, because now in through decentralization, the local government has now the more power and authority to implement programs for the benefit of its constituents, di ba? So mas magkakaroon ng focus ang ating officials, our local officials, para mabigyan ng katugunan ang mga programs or ang mga problema or issues ng lipunan na hindi naman kayang bigyan pansin ng ating government dahil sa dami ng local government or mga barangays, municipalities or provinces in our country, hindi niya maisa-isa yan, right? So that's one advantage, no? The advantage is there is more uh, focused and better implementation. Okay, as long as the local officials is really dedicated to commit themselves in serving the countrymen or their local people, right? So that's one advantage. What else? What do you think? Other advantages. So still one. Maybe we can have one more advantage of having this decentralization. All right. So one advantage is also the term inclusivity, right? So there are no more exclusions of other parties or other group of peoples, which is what we call the marginalized people, because they were all given the opportunity to be served. Okay? Hindi sila maiiwan dahil andyan na yung government. So it's like getting more closer to the national government through local government unit. So that is now these are now the advantages. Now going on as we go on, I mean, what about disadvantage? Do you know what are advantages of decentralization? I mean, disadvantages of decentralization. Can you give one disadvantage of having this decentralization? I guess meron, ano? Kung merong advantage, of course, there is always disadvantage. Okay, we have mentioned the disadvantages, right? No? We have mentioned a while back the different advantages. I gave you two advantages, right? Now, what about disadvantage? Okay, one we can relate to this disadvantage is that uh, if it happens, no, that these officials are not serving better in their local jurisdiction, the more it will cause worse. It will cause more disadvantage to people. Meaning, for example, since we are in what we call, some of our political politicians are practicing what we call a the term monopolistic governance, or we can say that as we can relate that to somewhat dynasty, no, political dynasty. So what if the politicians are having the full control, yung true political dynasty? So halimbawa, in your area, iisa lang ang humahawak ng power. Iisa lagi ang pinanggagalingan, or laging itong pamilya na ito ang laging naluluklok sa pwesto. Why? Perhaps because with the use of force, okay? Or with bribery, yung pag manunuhol sa tao, kaya sila lumalabas. Kaya sila nagiging politicians, or kaya na-maintain nila yung position sa politics, sa lipunan, di ba? So nauuso 'yan. We cannot avoid that every time we have elections. Mostly those who are in power, they want to maintain their power, and they will do anything just to get into that power, to that position. So what happens if this is the scenario? So you see, what if these politicians are not serving well? They all want this position just for themselves. So corruption is rampant. Therefore, even if there is decentralization, if the politicians are not serving for the people, then it still become worse. Even if there is what we call decentralization, it will only cause uh, problems to their local jurisdiction, di ba? So mas lalong magiging ano yan, mas lalong nagkakaroon ng extreme corruption because they have the full control of the resources. That's the problem. However, it can only happen if the people themselves speak for everyone, and they can request for any investigation just to topple these politicians. So yun yung disadvantage, no? The only disadvantage is that kapag nagkaroon ng decentralization, yung mga namumuno, lalo na kung corrupt, lalong pinapahirapan ng tao. However, if these people are really honest enough to serve the people, if these politicians, I mean, are honest enough to serve the people, then it will become a better place for everyone. So that's only what I think the disadvantage. I guess meron pa siguro sa inyo, no? Meron pa sa inyong mga naisip na mga disadvantage. What are disadvantages? If you think you can have in your mind, or I mean, you can think of it. Okay? Do you think there are disadvantages? I only gave you one disadvantage. What else? So you see, this is relevant. One disadvantage is it is relevant to what we call a authoritarian rule. Okay, magkakaroon ng authoritarian rule kapag ganun. But because of this advantages, because of this decentralization, maaaring magdulot ito ng authoritarian rule. Okay, because they were given the authority now to manage the resources, and so kayang-kaya na nilang gumawa ng mga bagay na para sa kanilang pansariling interes, which result into what we call dictatorial form of government or form of management. And also, for the worst part, it perhaps Perhaps you can say that corruption is rampant. That's one disadvantage. Okay, so because they have now the power. Okay, unlike in centralization form of government. Okay, so that's all about our previous lesson, which is the decentralization. Now let's move to our next lesson. Okay, our lesson now, therefore, is about suffrage, election, and political parties. So this is all our topic for this third lesson. Let's begin with this. No? This quotation or saying of Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt is one, if you can recall or if you have read about him, Franklin was one of the president of the United States. Okay, so let us read. Let us never forget that government is ourselves and not an alien power over us. The ultimate rulers of our democracy are not the president and senators and congressmen and government officials, but the voters of this country. So based from the statement alone of Roosevelt, what can you say? What is your idea behind this? Can you interpret what does Roosevelt mean about this one? What is the implication of his message? Hmm? Okay, so perhaps in your mind you are saying that it's all about democracy. Yes, it's all about freedom. Okay, and this freedom and democracy, the essence of this is now what we call having the right to suffrage. Okay, suffrage. Now let's dig deeper about that later. We will continue another uh, statement. No, this is from our uh, local president. No, from the president of our Republic of the Philippines, who is the president of the Commonwealth during his time, President Manuel L. Quezon. So let us read his statement. My loyalty to my party ends where my loyalty to my country begins. So ano ibig sabihin ng sinasabi ni Manuel L. Quezon? My loyalty to my party ends where my loyalty to my country begins. That only means that since in our country we have different political parties, just like the Liberal Party, the National, yung UNO, yung what we call uh, and I don't really recall what does the meaning of UNO, but they are also part of the political party. The Nacionalista Party also, Liberal Party, as I said a while back, those are political parties. Now, according to the president, the former president, my loyalty to my party ends where my loyalty to my country begins. Which means, as a member of any party, your loyalty is for them. Okay? Remember, in our country, before you vote, I mean, before you run for any position in the government as public official, you may opt, okay? You may or you may not, no? You may want to become a member of a political party, or you may not want to become a member. It's your choice. But however, most of our local officials, they wanted to become an ally of one party or political party. Well, perhaps the advantage of that is so that you can have your, I mean, you cannot you don't spend much for your campaign because there's already a political party to campaign you. That's one advantage. Another thing is through the person through the different members of the party, they can endorse you to the people. That's one advantage. That's why some, some of the political, uh, some of the political aspirants are are really wanting to become a member of any political party. They want to be affiliated with with a certain political party. That's the reason, so that they can not spend more money for them for their campaign. The other thing, okay, if they do not want to be affiliated with other with political parties, sometimes they want to become an independent aspirant, okay, or want to run for a position in the government as independent. That means they don't want to be a member of any political party. Well, perhaps for the reason, perhaps for a certain reason, one reason perhaps is they don't want to be affiliated because perhaps some of these political parties are having issues, no? Or some of the members of these political parties are controversials. Okay? They have controversial issues among them, or perhaps he just want to be neutral, or she just want to be neutral. So wala siyang kakampihan. Therefore ayaw niya makialyado. However, the burden is your fund to fund your campaign, your money, your financial needs to fund your campaign. That's the problem. However, if you have friends to sponsor you, then it could be better. So let's go back to the main statement of Manuel Quezon. Why is it that he says my loyalty to my party ends where my loyalty to my country begins? Okay. In interpreting that, I guess if you want to interpret that, let's say, whenever you are a member of a political party, uh, you must have your loyalty to them. Of course, you have to be honest with the party you are in. Okay, so you have to be loyal. Bawal ang balimbing. No? All of your all of your support should be in your team as a political party. Now, once you are elected, it's not only for you are not serving now the political party. You are not serving now your political party for its interest, but instead, since you have been elected by the people, your loyalty now will turn out to be to your people. Yun ang ibig niya sabihin. So, mawawala ngayon yung loyalty mo. Although there is your loyalty as a member, you are still proud of your political party. But remember, we have to you as a newly elected official, you have to have now your loyalty to your country. Loyalty means you are serving now your country, so you have to serve in the best of your capacity for the betterment of the welfare of your people. So yun ang sinasabi niya, no? Your loyalty now is to your country because they elected you. So that's the idea of Manuel L. Quezon. All right. So last one, we have last statement here by Noah Webster. Okay, Noah Webster. It says here that when a citizen gives his suffrage to a man of known immorality, this is very interesting. He abuses his trusts. He sacrifices not only his own interests, but that of his neighbor. He betrays the interest of his country. So ano yung sinasabi ni Noah Webster? When a citizen gives his suffrage to a man of known morality, he abuses his trust, he sacrifices not only his own interest, but that of his neighbor. He betrays the interest of his country. Okay, have you ever tried to elect someone in the government? Subukan nyo na bang bumoto? Okay, let's take for instance, no? In your school, in your classroom, nagkaroon kayo ng election. Okay, as a group, no, as a section. Every time we start school year, you have to organize your class officers because it's very important to have class officers. Now, what is your strategy, or what is your principle in deciding who are supposed to be in the position? For example, the president. Yes, of course, you are always looking for a qualification. Is this person really fit to be a president of my classroom? Siya ba ay karapat-dapat? That should be, no? That is the ideal one. But some of you, perhaps, the reason why you vote for that person, it's because he's your friend, or perhaps you are just taking for granted. Okay? You just want to have, as if you just want uh, to be a member of the group, so you just cast your vote, diba? Just for the participation. But remember, casting your vote or giving your vote to someone should always based on your interests and for your welfare, at the same time for the welfare of everyone. Okay, that is the main idea of Noah Webster. Why? Paano kung ibinigay mo, paano kung pinili mo yung tao pala na maging president pero hindi naman pala siya karapat-dapat? Isa pala siyang balasubas. Excuse me for my word. Isa pala siyang hindi ka nais-nais. So what happens then? What happens then? 'Di ba? So para mo na ring inabuso mo, no, yung iyong pagtitiwala. You abuse your own trust. You sacrifice not only your interests but also the interests of others. Imbes na ang dapat iboto mo ay karapat-dapat pero ang binoto mo ay yung madumi. I mean, hindi maayos, mamalakad. O di pati ikaw masasacrifice-in. For example, alam mo nang corrupt yung gobyerno ay yung politiko, tapos iboboto mo pa rin ba? Diba? Kung ibinoto mo, ibig sabihin, inabuso mo yung sarili mo. Okay? Doon sa pagtitiwala sa tao. Okay? Sabihin, para mo na rin inabuso yung trust mo sa sarili mo, at the same time, parang sinakripisyo mo na rin yung interest mo. Okay? Sinacrifice mo yung interest mo, at the same time, isinacrifice mo na rin yung interest ng iba. Dahil kasama ka na nagpahamak sa kanila. Dahil siya yung binoto mo. So, halimbawa, no, isa na lang ang kailangan ng boto, pareho ng mabuti at ng hindi maayos na politiko. Halimbawa, dalawa sila, no? Nag-tie sila. Pero ikaw na lang pala ikaw yung bumoto in favor dun sa hindi maayos or hindi mabuting mamamalakad. So yun yung comparison. Ibig sabihin, because of what you have done na maling pagboto, na sacrifice mo ngayon yung kinabukasan ng bawat isa. Kasi magiging corrupt pala yung binoto mo. So that is the main idea of Noah Webster. I hope you understand me. Okay? All right, last one before we start discussing, no? Napakadami nitong statement. Let's talk about the statement of Abraham Lincoln. According to him, elections belong to the people. It's their decision. If they decide to turn their back on the fire and burn their behinds, then they will just have to sit on their blisters. Napakaganda, no? Ano kaya ibig sabihin ni ni Abraham Lincoln? If you're going to translate that in our language, ang eleksyon daw ay para sa mga tao. Kaya may eleksyon dahil para ito sa mga tao. Okay? So, why? Kasi yung mga tao nagdi-decide. Kaya may election kasi ang people the power of is in the hands of the people through election. Ito ka lang tayo magkakaroon ng power. Okay? Dahil wala silang magagawa, hindi nila madidiktahan ang gusto mo. Now, it's because it's their decision. Ngayon, kung ang taong ito nag-decide na they turn their back, ibig sabihin, para ba nilang kinalikuran yung tama. Okay? Turning back. Turning back meaning you are betraying yourself. Turning back on the fire. imbis na you escape from the fire, imbis na ang pipiliin mong daan ay dun sa daan na walang apoy, ang gusto mo ay doon ka dadaan sa apoy. So therefore, pinipili mo na parang masusunog ka na lang pati yung likod mo. Okay? So, wala nang magagawa. Hahayaan mo na lang na nandun ka na lang at magdusa ka doon sa ginawa mo dahil doon sa pagtalikod mo. So, parang hinayaan mo na diyan ka dumaan sa may sunog na yan. So, pagdusahan mo, kasi yan ang pinili mo, magdusa kang pagtiisan yung tawag doon, yung pagkasunog ng katawan mo. May hindi masarap hindi maganda sa pakiramdam yung kapag ikaw ay nagkaroon ng ganyan, ano, yung blisters. Yung when we talk of blisters, yung parang yung bakat ng kapag nasunog magtubig-tubig, 'di ba? Mahapdi 'yun. So do you want to do that? Of course, everyone doesn't want to experience that. So dapat you have to know. So in election, you have to decide which is better, which is good for the people and for yourself. Because if not, you will suffer in the end. Yun ang ibig niyang sabihin. Ano? So be careful with our decisions. In every decisions, we have to think first. We have to see the consequence, no? We have to foresee, the consequence. We have to think the consequence. Kailangan natin pag-isipan kung ano yung magiging resulta niyan. Because the result of that will be our suffering or perhaps enjoyment. Okay? Kung ito yung tama yung ginawa natin. Alright, let's move to our main lesson. That's just the prologue, prelude of our lesson, the introduction. Let's have this definition of terms. Let's define what do we mean by suffrage. Okay? Suffrage. So, magkaiba yung suffrage sa suffering, no? Suffrage is a term used in democratic process. And now let us define what do we mean by this word suffrage. Okay, this is the definition. Suffrage is the right and obligation to vote for qualified citizen in the election of public officers. Okay, so ito daw yung ating karapatan. Okay? At obligasyon natin na bumoto. That is what we call suffrage. Our right to vote para dun sa mga qualified na mga citizens para mailuklok sa posisyon ng ating gobyerno or public officers. That is the meaning of suffrage. Other than that, suffrage also may be exercised by all citizens of the Philippines not otherwise disqualified by law. Okay. So, it's when we say exercised by all citizens of the Philippines not otherwise disqualified by law who are at least 18 years of age and who shall have resided in the Philippines for at least 1 year and in the place wherein they propose to vote for at least 6 months immediately preceding the election. Ito yung qualification niya. Lahat tayo mayroong karapatang bumoto as long as you are not disqualified under the law. Okay, so kailangan alaman natin. So lahat ba kayo pwedeng bumoto? Hindi. First of all, there are qualifications to become a voter o mga boboto. Okay? So, what are the qualifications? First of all, ang pinaka-qualification niya is you must at least 18 years of age. Okay, yan kasi ang legal age natin, no, sa Pilipinas. 18 years of age. So, dapat pag tungtong mo ng 18 years of age, magparehistro ka na sa COMELEC. That's why we encourage you, if you are 18 years old right now, you should have filed for a voter's application or registration, to our COMELEC para makasali tayo. Kasi kung hindi ka nag-file, kahit na 18 and above ka pa, hindi ka basta-basta pumasok at bumoto kapag pagdating na ng botohan. Kailangan mag-appear ang pangalan mo. Second, kailangan you have to be to have to stay in the Philippines. You have been staying in our country for at least 1 year. Of course, lahat naman kayo nandito, no? Pilipino talaga kayo. You are staying here since birth. So, automatically, you are qualified. Ito ay para dun sa mga taong may lahi siguro na papunta-punta sa ibang bansa. Pero for us today, katulad ninyo, you are already staying in the Philippines for more than 1 year and at least 6 months, sabi niya, no? At least 6 months kung saan ka boboto. For example, ako, I am actually from other province. No? So, if I am new in this city, I am qualified only if I apply for registration here to vote. Secondly, is that I should have at least 6 months to stay in this place, in this city. For example, in Valenzuela. So, since matagal naman na ako, then I am already a qualified voter. So, pwede na yon. Immediately preceding the election. Ibig sabihin, 6 months ka before the election. Bawa bukas ang election, ngayon, nung nagpa-register ka, dapat ngayong araw na ito, dapat naka 6 months ka na kung saan ka nakatira. Doon ka rin boboto. Okay, there is principle behind that. Later we will discuss why there is a need for these qualifications, no? Sa mga gantong qualifications. Okay. Tingnan natin bakit ano ba sinasabi nila o ano ba ang pananaw tungkol sa suffrage? Ano ang mga tingin ng mga tao pagdating sa suffrage? Sa inyo, kung tatanungin ko kayo, bakit kailangan nyong bumoto? Anong dahilan? O, sa tingin nyo, ano ba ang mga pananaw nyo tungkol sa pagkakaroon ng karapatang bumoto? So, there are only 3 views on suffrage. Number 1, we have here one view, or some people, they see suffrage as a mere privilege. Okay, mere privilege. So that means when we talk of mere privilege, ang pagkakaintindi ng mga ibang tao, ang karapatang bumoto is hindi siya natural right, hindi siya natural na o likas na karapatan ng bawat isa, but merely a privilege given or withheld by the law, which is true. Okay? Ang privilege, ito ay isang pribilehiyo lamang, hindi mo karapatan. Okay, tandaan niyo, magkaiba ang privilege sa karapatan. Anong privilege? Ang privilege ay kapag ito ay ibinigay sa iyo ng gobyerno at anytime pwedeng bawiin. Anytime pwedeng bawiin ng gobyerno. That is privilege. Now, kapag karapatan or right, hindi siya ito pwedeng bawiin. For example, your right to life, right to liberty na nakalagay sa atin sa Constitution. Right to life meaning walang pwedeng kumitil sa buhay mo. Dahil yan ay natural na karapatan mo as a human being. Yun yung right. So in privilege, it's just a matter of opportunity given to you. Okay? So binigay lang yan ng authority natin sa iyo. And anytime pwede yung bawiin. Anytime pwede bawiin. Lalo na kung dinisregard mo or nagkamali ka sa paggamit nito. Okay, that is why it's just a privilege. Okay, next. Some view, they say suffrage is just a political right. Okay, some view they say suffrage is a political right. Political right in the sense that suffrage enables a citizen to participate in the process of government. Okay, meaning, ang suffrage o yung karapatang bumoto ay isa sa tinatawag na karapatan natin as political sense. Ibig sabihin, ito yung karapatan natin, at least makibahagi tayo dahil we are part of the government. So it's also our part, it's also our right to participate in election. Kasi ine-able tayo, binibigyan tayo ng pagkakataon na mag-participate sa pamamagitan ng election. That's why it's a political right. Next, let's now move to the theories. So, dalawa lang, The 2 views of suffrage is a mere privilege, it's a privilege, and it's a political right. Now, the theories. There are different theories, on suffrage. Number one, it is the natural right theory. Okay. Sabi dito, it's the natural right theory. Para bang contradicting dun sa nasabi natin as view, no? Sabi sa natural right theory, ang theory na ito ay kiniklaim, no, that the right to vote is a natural inherited right to every citizen. The state was created by the people deliberately, and hence all the people have a natural right to take part in the affairs of the government. So the reason bakit nila tinawag na ang suffrage, no, ang theory behind this suffrage is that it is the natural right theory. Ano rason? Bakit natural na likas sa atin na magkaroon tayo ng karapatang bumoto? Yun ang sabi dito, no? That's why it's called natural right. What is their justification? Now, the justification is that kaya nila sinasabi na ito ay natural right natin. It's because the state was created. Itong gobyerno natin, ang bansa natin, ay binuo ng tao. Talagang sadyang binuo ng tao, itinatag ng tao. So, dapat lang na tayo, lahat ng mga tao, ay magkaroon din ng karapatan na makibahagi dun sa affairs o yung mga kalakaran ng gobyerno. Kaya natural right natin. So, if you are going to think that, parang tama naman, ano? Tama naman yung sinasabi niya. Sis gawa, tayo rin bilang daman ang nagtatag ng gobyerno, bakit hindi natin karapatan yung bumoto, di ba? So, ayan. Number one theory is the natural right. Second, suffrage, according to this theory, is that it's just a legal theory. Okay? Suffrage is legal theory. According to the theory of the legal theory, according to this legal theory on suffrage, ang sabi niya, according to this theory, suffrage is not a natural right, but a political right. Granted by the law of the state, voting is just a function. Okay? So, ngayon, ano sa tingin nyo ang tama sa kanilang dalawa? Is it natural right or legal theory? Natural right theory or legal theory ang tungkol sa karapatang bumoto or what we call suffrage? Siguro marami nagsasabi sa inyo, I choose natural right theory kasi tama naman yung explanation. Okay, pangalawa, siguro gusto ko legal theory kasi tama naman yun. Well, the best application and the best theory that we could accept today is the legal theory. Of course, lagi tayo dun sa tama through legal interpretation. At dahil ito ay in-express or nakasaad sa ating batas na ang suffrage o yung karapatan nating bumoto ay hindi natural right. Hindi yan ibig sabihin na pagkapanganak mo may karapatan ka ng bumoto. Wala kang alam, halimbawa pagkapanganak mo may isip ka na nga pero wala ka pa sa edad. So wala ka, hindi mo pa alam yung alin ang tama at mali pagdating sa participation sa government. So we choose legal theory. Because sa legal theory, nakasaad dun, ano yung qualifications. Okay? So, this is the best theory, no? Yung legal theory. So, ibig sabihin, ang natural right theory, it's just like natural, it's our natural, tawag dun? Or absolute right, yung tinutukoy niya, katulad yung kanina sa views, no? It's just a mere privilege or a political right. So, in here, sa legal theory, it's our political right. Okay? Ito ay karapatan natin as political right, no? Granted by the law. Ito ay karapatan natin pagdating sa politika na ipinahihintulutan ng ating batas ng ating bansa na ang voting, itong pakikipag-participate sa election or voting, pagkakas ng ating vote is merely a function of or duty of a citizen. That's why it's legal theory. Okay, next. Pangatlo, meron pa tayong tatlo, no? Meron pang isa. Pangatlo is yung tinatawag na ethical theory. What about ethical theory? Actually, it's not only 3 pala, meron pang hanggang 4 or 5 to. The ethical theory. Ano naman sinasabi pagdating sa ethical? So, when we talk of ethical, it's all about ethics, no? Yung tamang gawi or tamang asal. According to ethical theory, ang sabi niya, the ethical theory consider the right to vote as a mean of self-expression of the individual in political affairs. This practice is based on the tribal theory. Okay, kung babalikan natin yung panahon pa ng mga ninuno natin na wala pang state, no? Hindi pa nabuo yung batas, wala pang batas, kanya-kanya pa yung iba't ibang tribo, through tribal na sinasabi dito, ang expression nila ay, ang paniniwala nila ay, ang suffrage is ethical. Okay. So, it's all about a matter of expression. Ibig sabihin, if you participate in election, that means it expresses your main point of view or your idea or your what we call decision. Okay, that's one form of self-expression, that you are participating in this political affair. So therefore, ethical theory, ang tinutukoy niya is ang karapatang pumoto ay isang ethical theory dahil nagpapahayag lang ito ng ating self-expression. Okay, pinapakita lang natin sa pamamagitan ng ating participation sa government through our own consent or through our own volition na tinatawag, yung ating decision making. Kaya it's ethical. Pero kung alam natin hindi dapat tayo makipag-participate, pwede ka namang tumanggi. Parang yun ang principle ng ethical theory. Pero kung sa tingin mo ay dapat lang na makipag-participate ka, I have to participate. Hindi, walang pilitan. Kailangan gusto ko rin makipag-participate. So, makipag-participate ako. Sasama ako sa pagboboto. Pero sa tingin mo ayaw mong bumoto, wala kang pakialam, pwede din naman. Yun yung explanation ng ethical theory. Okay, whereas kung i-compare natin dun sa first two, the first one is natural right, so obligatory. Dapat automatic ikaw ay boboto. So sa pangalawa, it's legal, it means whether you like it or not, since it's legal, you have to vote as long as you have the qualifications. As long as you pass the qualification. That's number 2. Pero dito sa number 3, it's up to you if you want to vote because it's part of your self-expression. Walang pilitan. So, ibig sabihin, voluntary form. So, kung marapat mo na kasama ka na magboboto, pwede naman. It's a sign of self-expression. That's number 3. Then, the next theory is the tribal theory. Tribal theory. So, ano naman? Dito is ethical. Tungkol sa personal mong pananaw. Kung karapat-dapat. The tribal theory, ang sabi niya, in early Greek and Roman states, suffrage was extended only to the citizens. Or citizen, I mean. Only people who were accorded citizenship status vote. Nowadays, citizenship is essential for voting. This practice is based on the tribal theory. So, ibig sabihin, ang tribal theory is lumalabas na ang pagboboto ay para siyang isang gawain ng mga tribo or magkakalahi. Parang ganon, ano? So, kung iisipin natin, parang tama din yung sinasabi niya. Nakakatulad nung panahon ng Greek. In the times of Greek and Roman states, the way they vote, the way they cast the election is anyone who is a member of Greek state or Greek society or Roman society na nabigyan ng karapatan o na turingan na isang mamamayan ng Greece o mamamayan ng Roma, sila lang ang pwedeng bumoto. So parang ganito, since tayo ay isang tribo dito, ibig sabihin, if you belong to my group as one tribe, we can have, or I mean, every member has the right to participate in election. Okay, if you want to elect, yun ang ibig sabihin nun. Doon nagmula yung tinatawag ng tribal theory. So, you cannot participate participate if you are outside of the group. Okay? Kung naituturing ka na part of the group, meaning you are citizen, then you can participate. That's the theory behind this tribal theory. So parang dito daw nang galing yung citizenship natin ngayon, yung tinatawag na tribal theory. Okay. Number 5, last one. The feudal theory. Ang feudal theory ay kung babalikan natin during the medieval period, or medieval period, meron tayong feudalism. So parang ganun ang pinanggalingan. And the feudal theory claims that the right to vote depends on a particular social status. So remember, dun sa feudalism, mahalaga yung status. Okay? If you have a vast ownership of land, then you will be accorded as the highest rank in society. So, ibig sabihin, parang ikaw yung authority. You have the power. So, parang ganun din daw. Sa feudal theory, pinapakita lang niya na ang pakikipag-participate sa election ay batay sa status or batay sa pamumuhay ng tao. Kung mataas ang level ng status mo sa buhay, tsaka ka lang pwedeng makiparticipate sa election. Yun ang prinsipyo ng feudal theory. Although there are current countries exercising this, but I think medyo nawawala na ngayon. Pero dati merong ganun, ano? In other countries, kapag ikaw ay may kaya sa buhay, ganun din kadami or yun din ang privilege mo na makibahagi sa election. Parang halimbawa, pagka ikaw ay maraming may tinapos, tas marami ka pang ari-arian, parang pag mag-participate ka sa election, 2 beses ka magboboto, parang ganun. That's an example of feudal theory. So, the feudal theory, therefore, it claims that the right to vote depends on your particular social status. The simplest form of social status was ownership of land. Yung pagkakaroon ng inyong mga ari-arian, tulad ng lupa. Kapag meron kang lupa, pwede kang mag-participate sa election. Kahit ngayon sa ibang states na sasabi ko kanina. So therefore, ang pinaka-emphasis nito is, ang pinaka-qualification is your property. Pag meron kang mga property. So dito nagmula yung tinatawag na old theory. This is a legacy of the old theory, yung properties. Okay, so I hope naintindihan na, no? You have understood the different theories on suffrage. Now let us analyze or identify what are the different types of votes. Ano ibang mga klase ng boto na meron tayo, halimbawa sa Pilipinas o sa ibang bansa. Okay. Number 1, this is the type of vote. There is what we call one man, one vote. Okay. Let us define what do we mean by one man, one vote. From the word alone, you can understand that. Under this provision, everyone is entitled to one and only one vote. The voter can cast his vote for any candidate. So this is like what we have practicing, what we've been practicing in our country, di ba? Pag bumoto ang isang tao, minsan ka lang. At yun isa lang din ang bilang mo. Hindi ka pwedeng dumoble. Okay? Isa lang din. Pag bumoto ka na, hindi ka na pwedeng bumoto ulit. At yung boto mo ay equivalent to one vote only. That's what we call one man, one vote. Hindi pwedeng 2 beses mag-extra pang boboto. Babalik ka pa uli. Kaya nga binibigyan sila ng indelible ink para tandaan na hindi ka na pwedeng bumalik kasi bumoto ka na. Ayun yung one man, one vote. Okay, now, number 2. Ito yung medyo komplikado. Single transferable vote. So, paano ba? Let us define. What do we mean by this? In this system, which is designed for the multi-member constituency, the vote possesses only one vote. But, he can make his priority like 1, 2, 3, etc. according to his requirement. If a candidate fails to see the majority, the voters to seek the majority, the voters polled for him will be reallocated according to the second choice and then the third until a clear majority is obtained by a candidate. Okay, this is very complicated form of election, no? O pagboboto or vote. But number Numbers, they are what we call priority, no? For example, I'll give you a clear example para mas maintindihan nyo. In your classroom, for example, you are 20 students, and you would like to vote for 4 positions. 4 na posisyon. Okay, sabihin natin 4 na posisyon. Ang kailangan. Okay, sa inyong classroom. So, sa 4 na posisyon, paano natin ma-identify kung sino ang dapat na iluklok doon sa 4 na posisyon. Okay. Kaya lang, siyempre, before identifying, kung halimbawa, yung 4 na posisyon na yun, President, Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, 4 na posisyon yan, ano? Parang mas okay pa nga yung ano eh. Kasi isa-isa lang yun eh. Let us just say, kasi ang kailangan kasi dito yung ano eh, multi-member sa constituency. Ibig sabihin, sa isang posisyon, 4 ang kailangan. 4 na tao. Okay, para mas clear sa inyo. Parang mga sangguniang kabataan, di ba? So, halimbawa, sa inyo, magraran kayo ng sangguniang kabataan, ilan ba kailangan? Siguro sabihin natin, 5. 5 sangguniang kabataan ang kailangan. Kayo ay 20. So, paano natin ma-determine kung ilan dapat ang boto ng isa sa inyo na candidate para manalo? Ilan ang dapat na boto? Okay, so, 5 posisyon, 5 sangguniang kabataan. Pero ang nag-file ay, halimbawa, 7. 7 ang nag-file na gustong maging sangguniang kabataan. Pero 5 lang ang kailangan natin. Now, how do we determine the number of votes who is qualified to become a member of the sangguniang kabataan? Okay, there's now what we call the term quota. Okay. Dito sa quota na ito, we are basing our quota through the number of votes, yung total number of votes nyo. So, ilan kayo lahat? 20. So, doon sa total number of votes, i-divide natin sa 5. So, ilan lahat dapat ang boto ng isa para automatic? So, kung i-divide mo yung 20, you have to divide 20 by 5, that is 4. So, this 4, you add 1. Mag-a-add ka ng 1 para ikaw ay automatic, para automatic yung isang candidate ay isang qualified for the position. So, dapat, para maging automatic na sangguniang kabataan ang isa na candidate, kailangan makakuha siya ng boto ng 5. Okay? Kailangan makakuha siya ng boto na 5. Okay. So, sa unang stage, lahat kayo ay bumoto. Kayo mga 20, bumoto. Sama yung sarili nyo, no? Bumoto kayo. Kayo mga 20. Okay. Bumoto kayo, at nung binilang ang boto, okay, yung isa sa inyo ay, doon sa pagboboto nga pala, no, ito yung ginagawa. Kailangan magkaroon kayo ng priority lists. Okay? Lahat ng 5 na yan ay bobotohan nyo through numbering. So, halimbawa, ang unang ang candidate number 1, for example, mamili tayo ng mga number 1 doon sa sa mga pangalan nyo. Halimbawa, si Alcantara, candidate number 1 para sa sangguniang kabataan. Pangalawa, si Berniso, number 2. Pangatlo, si Castillo. Okay. Pangapat, yung sumunod kay Castillo, pangalan yan, ang apelido, si Clarissa, tama ba? And then, pang-5, si Aichon. Si Degamon muna. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So, ang number 1, yan yung priority natin. Halimbawa, ang gusto nyo talaga sa inyong sarili, pinakagusto nyo na lalabas ay si Alcantara. Okay? And then the second one is si Bermiso. So, you number that. yung pinaka first priority nyo is 1, lalagay nyo 1, halimbawa si Alcantara gusto nyo. Ang second priority nyo halimbawa ay kung medyo gusto nyo ba, kung hindi man kung hindi man si Alcantara, si Bermiso. So ang lalagay nyo si Bermiso. Number 2 ang lalagay nyo. Doon sa tapat niyang pangalan niya, 2. Then 3 yung isa. The rest hanggang maaabot nyo yung 7 kasi 7 nga yung candidate. So 7 yung pinaka-list. Ibig sabihin, siya yung pinaka last choice nyo. Okay. Now, when the time comes na kailangan magbilang ng boto, lumabas sa resulta na yung isa, bawa si Alcantara nakakuha siya ng more than 5, automatic siya na yung lumabas na SK Kagawad. Automatic na siya bumoto. So for second one, halimbawa si Alcantara nakakuha ng 7. Okay, si Bermiso ay nakakuha ng 6. Next one, si Clarissa, si Castillo nakakuha ng 9. Okay? And the rest, no? Yung isa naman ay below 5. Yung isa ay halos 4 or 3 lang. So, based from that, titingnan ngayon kung sino yung lagpas sa 5. Lahat ng lagpas sa 5, automatic yun na, tawag doon, automatic sila na gagawing, kasama na sa member ng SK. Okay? And then for the second round, since lumabas na yung dalawa, for example, ang gagawin ngayon, yung sobra dun sa dalawa, so tatanggalin ngayon yung sumobra dun sa kay Bermiso at saka kay Alcantara kasi sobra sa 5 yung kanilang boto. So yung 5 lang, yung first 5 lang na ang kukunin na hindi na bibilangan. Yung sumobra, idadagdag ulit dun sa boboto ulit. Okay? So pagkabilang ulit, kung sino yung magiging 3, kung halimbawa yun sino yung nakakuha ng mas madaming boto, halimbawa 3 or 4, yung kukunin ulit yung mas madami, susunod kay pangatlo na. Okay? So meaning, that is what we call single transferable vote. Pwedeng ilipat yung iyong boto. Kung halimbawa, nakuha na yung dalawa, so pwedeng ilipat yung boto mo hanggang sa makuha yung 5. Okay? So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng single transferable vote. Hanggang sa makompleto na yung lahat ng 5 na SK chairman. So, may malalaglag lagi na dalawa na candidate. So, sa bawat stage, merong malalaglag. Kung sino yung pinakamaliit na boto at hindi umabot doon sa quota, siya yung mawawala. So, lahat ng bumoto doon, babalik uli at buboto ulit kung sino yung gusto nila doon sa sumunod. Okay? Since halimbawa, si Alcantara at si Bermiso ay bumoto na, so parang yung sumobra doon sa bumoto ay boboto ulit para makita kung sino ang pwede pang iboto doon sa 3. Okay? Hanggang sa kung natapos na, kung meron na silang nakakaabot ng quota, siya yung susunod sa 3. Then, tatanggalin uli kung may sobra, ibabalik uli, tapos pagbobotohan uli yung natira hanggang sa makakuha sila ng kompletong 5 ng quota. So, that is how what we call single transferable vote. Medyo mahaba ang proseso niyan. No? Medyo mahaba yung proseso. So, that is single transferable vote. Now, the second type of vote is what we call plural voting. So, yan kanina ay single. Ibig sabihin, minsan ka lang, yung boto mo ay minsan lang mako-qualify pero pwede pa siyang ilipat kapag lumabas na yung gusto mo. Okay? Then, saka i-transfer yung boto mo. So, ikaw ay mamimili ng other priorities mo. Sa number 3, according to this system, several qualifications are prescribed for the right to the vote, such as for the right to vote, for the right to vote such as payment of property tax and education. A person who owns property or is a taxpayer or is educated is eligible for a vote because he possesses all those qualifications. At the same time, a person who is educated, owns the property, and is a taxpayer is entitled to 3 votes. A voter is entitled to 1 vote for every qualification he possesses. In Belgium, this method was used during the early times. So, meaning, ang plural voting ay pwede kang bumoto ng ilang beses as long as yung qualification mo ay ma-meet niya, no? Batay dun sa sineset nilang qualification. Okay, one example here, kung ikaw ay ah, botante na nakapagbayad ng tax, pwede kang bumoto ng minsan. Halimbawa, ikaw ay nagbayad ng tax at the same time ay may mataas na pinag-aralan, so 2 beses kang bumoto. Ano? So, pangatlo, nakapagbayad ka ng tax, meron kang property, at ikaw ay may ari-arian ka at ikaw ay may pinag-aralan, so pwede kang bumoto ng 3 beses. This is now what we call plural voting. Yung privilege mo na bumoto ng pabalik-balik or paulit-ulit depends on your parang status to parang status, economic status or social status in life. Yun yung qualifications nila. Okay, so that's plural voting. Okay, next, open ballot. Ano naman ang open ballot? At tinawag siyang open ballot. So, in this system, the voters raise their hands. So, usually ito ay nangyayari sa small crowd, katulad ng sa inyo, no, as sa classroom nyo. 'Di ba tayo pag nag-organize ang advisor nyo nag-organize ng election, they are doing this election in the form of what we call open ballot. You don't need to write the name of the person through a ballot slip or ballot paper. Okay, hindi mo na kailangang isulat para maging sekreto yung ballot mo. But instead, you are just raising your hand if you agree or you are in favor of that person. That's what we call open ballot. Okay? So that's that is a common practice during the time na nung early society, since maliit lang yung mga population. And according to Montesquieu, he advocated this system because seeing intelligent people raise their hands for right candidates, the uneducated man would also support him. However, this method is not practical, considering the vast size of electorates in the legislative assemblies and the parliament. When motions and bills are introduced, the speaker puts it for voting. Or katulad ng sabi ko sa inyo kanina, it is not reasonable if we do the open ballot for the entire country. Paano natin magagawa ang open ballot? At the same time, sino yung magbibilang? Sino ang magsusupervise, no? So, napakahirap nun. That's why we do what we call a secret ballot, voting. Hindi siya open ballot. Because if we do open ballot, it's very complicated. There are lots of manpower to be implemented or to be used. Napakahirap ng open ballot. Okay? Mahirap bilangin paano yung isa ay nagbaba tas nagtaas ulit, hindi mo na alam kung sino yung nagbaba at nagtaas. It can only be used for the small crowd, just like in your classroom, in parliament proceedings, for example, sa Kamara, in Senate hearing, for example, or in Congress, kasi pwede pang bilangin yon. So, ginaganon lang ang kamay. But most of the time, ang ginagamit ay secret balloting. Okay, number 5 is the next one, which I've been saying. Secret ballot. So, merong open ballot, then secret ballot. Ang type of ballot na ito ay ito yung common na pinapractice natin. In this system, the voter casts his vote for a candidate without the knowledge of another person. A citizen can exercise his franchise without fear. In polling stations, an enclosure is provided him to mark his vote and put the ballot in the ballot box. So, you see, the best so far, no, an effective casting of vote is through secret ballot. Yung ginagawa natin ngayon, every time na may election, yan ang tinatawag nating secret ballot. Meaning, nobody knew who will be your bet, no? Who will be the best candidate for you. They cannot see your decision or your writing whether you vote for someone else or not. So, ganun yun, no? Yung secret ballot. That is to protect your own privacy. At the same time, you have the full integrity and you have the honest decision to vote for someone. So, that's secret ballot. Okay, let's move to scope of suffrage. So, saan, ano yung mga saklaw ng suffrage? Okay. There are different types of suffrage or saklaw ng suffrage. Number one, we have what we call election. Okay, election is one scope of suffrage. Ang election is by means by which it means by which people choose their officials. Election are means by which people choose their officials. So through election. Second, plebiscite. Another scope of suffrage is what we call the plebiscite. Ang plebiscite, it is the vote of the people expressing their choice for a proposed law submitted to them. Usually, ang plebiscite or plebiscito na tinatawag, meron nang nagawang, halimbawa, batas. Okay? So, halimbawa, gagawa ang ating legislative ng batas, isasangguni na lang sa atin kung gusto ba natin or hindi. Yun ang tinatawag na plebiscite. So, if we vote no, then that law will not be implemented, will not be approved. Number 3, referendum. So, ano naman ang referendum? Referendum is the submission of a law passed by the legislative body to the people for their ratification or rejection. So, halos parehas lang. Kaya lang ang plebiscite is the vote of the people expressing their choice for a proposed law. Dito, parang may choice pa sila kung anong law. So, pe-present sa kanila yung dalawa. Yung pangatlo, yung referendum, it's just saying na we want that or we don't want that. We don't like that. So, it's just saying accept or reject. Parang ganun ang referendum. So, halimbawa, nagpasa ng batas ang ating kongreso. So, ang ibaboto mo lang ay yes or no. Yun yung referendum. Okay? So, sa plebiscite, parang magkakaroon lang dalawang choices. Parang halos ganun din, no? Pero iba kasi ito eh. Iisa lang yung sinasaad, sa batas lang, kung ito ba ay effective. Kailangan approve ng tao kung accept or reject. Parang ganun lang. Pero sa plebiscite kasi is, parang pe-present sa iyo ang dalawang choices. Next, initiative. Initiative is a method in which people directly propose and enact laws. So, ang pagkakaiba ng initiative, tayong mga tao, we the people will decide what law should be implemented, and we ourselves as the people will enact. Okay, ibig sabihin tayo mismo mag-implement ng batas na ito. That's what we call initiative, through our initiation. Okay, through our initiatives. Number 5 is recall. Okay, recall is a method in which an elective local officials can be removed from office during his tenure. Ang recall naman, ito naman yung ginagawa ng ating mga legislative officials or legislative branch of the government na kung saan halimbawa may isang politiko na natukrasang hindi na siya karapat-dapat doon sa kanyang pwesto dahil marami na siyang nilabag, for example, especially administrative laws. So they have this what we call recall. Recall meaning babawiin yung kanyang pwesto. That is what we call recall. Ito yung method para matanggal yung pwesto, i-recall nila. So tatanggalin siya doon sa pwesto. It's just like what is happening now in the case of Congressman Teves, diba? Congressman Teves is a member of the legislative body, our House of Representatives. So there is a proposal now that Teves should be removed from his office because of his misdemeanor, or what we call the improper behavior, especially yung kanyang cases or case against him tungkol dun sa being a mastermind sa pagpatay ng isang governor, na until today pinapasuko siya pero ayaw niyang sumuko. That's what we call recall. Gusto na nilang tanggalan ng pwesto sa opisina kasi sayang lang yung pinapasahod ng ating government. Sumasahod siya, wala naman siya doon. So they want to recall his position. So that's number 5. That's an example. Alright. So a while back, I have said that there is a need for qualifications. Why there's a need for age qualification before you can participate in election? The reason is, meron tayong certain degree of maturity. Ito yung base sa assumption na under a certain age, tayo mga tao ay merong maturity. Okay? Experience, education, and sense of judgment that will enable them to vote with a reasonable degree of intelligence. So, ibig sabihin, pag tungtong natin ng 18, at least meron na tayong maturity pagdating sa pag-iisip. At the same time, we have the education. We have been educated. Okay? Because if you are 18, I guess you are already grade 12 at that time. So, therefore, you have experienced different curriculums, learning experiences, so that you were trained to have this sense of judgment that will enable you to become a reasonable person. So that's why age qualification is very important. Second, residency qualification. Bakit kailangan may residency qualification? Anong kinalaman ng residency qualification? Bakit hindi na lang pwedeng you can vote wherever you want at any time when election comes? Well, this is now the reason behind. The reason is that you are given 6 months to at least stay in the area, in your community, in your barangay, in your municipality or city. The reason is for you to be familiarized with these persons, with these people, and with the environment that you are in, the living conditions of or the needs of your community, so that when election comes, you are prepared to elect which or who is the qualified person to be at the position. Okay, that's why residency qualification is very important. Hindi ka pwedeng basta-bastang bumoto nang hindi mo kilala yung tao, hindi mo nakikita kung ano yung mga nagawa. So that's why it's very important to stay in the area for at least you have to reside in the area for at least 6 months. That's why there's age residency qualification. Then next we have what we call the persons disqualified to vote. So yung nabanggit natin kanina yung qualifications. Why is there a need for age qualification and residency qualification? Yun lang naman kailangan, no? 2 qualifications to become a member of an electorate or become a voter, okay, or participate in an election. Age qualification, you should meet the age qualification and the residency qualification. Now let's move to the persons disqualified to vote. Sino-sino yung mga disqualified? Who are the persons disqualified to vote? Okay. Perhaps you are disputing with the authority. Bakit hindi ako pwede? Nung pumunta ka ng election, when you arrive at the poll precinct, you discover that you are not on the list or you cannot participate. Why? What are the reasons? Okay. These are the disqualifications for you to be reminded of. Number 1, a person is disqualified if this person have been sentenced to suffer imprisonment for not less than 1 year. Okay? So, kung ikaw ay nagkaroon ng sentence, no, or ikaw ay kinasuhan at sinentensyahan ng kahit less than 1 year, you are disqualified to become to participate in an election. So, yan yung disqualifications. Second, if you commit any crime involving disloyalty to the government, such as rebellion and sedition. Actually, that's not section, sedition. Okay. So, if you commit disloyalty, ibig sabihin, parang yung tinraider mo ang gobyerno. Parang pinalakuran mo yung pagiging loyalty mo sa ating gobyerno. That's one disqualification. Okay, that is considered as a ground for disqualification. Halimbawa, naging rebelde ka, nagkaroon ka ng pakikibaka pagdating sa, halimbawa, nakisali ka sa NPA. So, hindi ka pwedeng maging ah, kasali dun sa election. Okay. Sedition meaning parang tinatraidor mo ang iyong bansa. Okay, parang binibenta mo yung sinisiraan mo ang bansa. Okay, yung sarili mong bansa, parang sinisiraan mo. Parang gusto mo sakupin ang ating bansa. So, yan ang tinatawag na sedition. From the word seed. Ano? To cede or to give up. That's what we call sedition. So, kapag ikaw ay nag-traitor sa iyong bansa o naging disloyal ka sa ibang bansa, sa iyong bansa, that means you are committing a violation of rebellion and sedition. So you are not qualified to vote for an election. Number 3, those people or person who are declared to be insane or incompetent person. Okay. So kahit sabihin natin na-meet mo yung residency mo, age qualification and residency qualification, but you are not sane, hindi ka matino. That means may problema ka sa pag-iisip. Incompetent ka, ibig sabihin you cannot decide which is right and which is wrong, or perhaps you cannot decide for yourself. That means you are not qualified. Okay, so that's one disqualification. Okay, under section 2 we have this provision that the Congress shall provide the system for securing the secrecy and sanctity of the ballot, as well as a system for absentee voting by qualified Filipino abroad. Okay, there is the term here, secrecy and sanctity. So, when we talk of that sanctity and secrecy, we are talking about the fair and honest election. Yun ang ibig sabihin yan, ano? Na pinrovide sa atin ng Section 2 ng ating saligang batas. I don't know what article is that, basta makikita nyo yun yung suffrage. Okay? Article about suffrage in our Constitution, sa Section 2 niya, makikita nyo ito, mababasa nyo. Congress shall provide system of securing, ito yung title niyan is the secrecy and sanctity of the ballot. So, pag sinabi natin secrecy, ibig sabihin secret, ibig sabihin, walang nakakaalam. Okay? Sanctity, meaning pure. Okay? Clean. Yan ang ibig sabihin yan. No? So, sanctity is relevant to clean, pure, saint, for example. So, securing the secrecy and sanctity, ibig sabihin ang ating kongreso, sa pamamagitan ng ating gobyerno, sa pamamagitan ng ating COMELEC, sila yung nagpe-preserve ng pagiging secrecy and sanctity ng ating ballot. Hindi siya pwedeng i-disclose ng basta-basta. At dapat ito ay pure, clean election. Wala yung halong pandaraya. Kaya tinawag na secrecy and sanctity. Okay. At the same time, meron ding tinatawag na absentee voting. Absentee voting is only applied to those Filipinos abroad. Okay, kaya tinawag siyang absentee kasi wala sila sa Pilipinas but still they can have the privilege to cast their vote. Okay, magpapadala ang ating gobyerno doon sa lugar ng mga Pilipino na ito para sila bumoto, katulad sa Hong Kong, Saudi Arabia, kung saan dito maraming mga Pilipinong na-deploy as OFWs. So that they will also enjoy their right as a citizen of the country to cast their vote. Okay, para mapabilang din sila, sayang din yung boto nila. So that is all about this one. Next, the Congress shall also design procedure for the physically challenged and the illiterates to vote without the assistance of other persons. So, kahit pa ikaw ay isang physically challenged, meaning meron kang disabilities, meron ka pa rin karapatang bumoto. Basta matino pa naman ang pag-iisip mo, you have the right to vote. And the government is doing something or providing you as a physically challenged individual to at least cast your vote. At the same time, illiterates, halimbawa, wala kang pinag-aralan, pero alam mo naman, nadi-decide mo naman kung sino ang boboto mo, hindi ka nga lang makapagsulat, pwede ka pa rin bumoto with the aid of someone who is your close tie, your relative or friend, at least, no, magkakatiwalaan mo, without dictating who you will vote. As long as you have the consent to who you will vote, then you have the right to participate in election. Okay. So sanctity and secrecy of the ballot is, as I have mentioned a while back, this is about this is about to ensure the voters that they exercise their right to freely, uninfluenced by the threats, intimidation, and corrupt motives, and to secure a fair and honest count of the ballots. Meaning, that's why it's secrecy, because no one knows kung sino yung iboboto mo. Dapat ma-preserve yun, ano? Na hindi ka pa kikialaman kung sino boboto mo. They will never intervene you. That's why we are, when in polling precinct, you are given the privacy to write or to cast your own vote without anyone seeing your votes, no? And at the same time, without dictating you, without influencing you, or without any threats, okay, just to cast your ballot. Walang nagdidictate sa iyo, walang nananakot sa iyo para lang hindi mo maisulat yung gusto mo. So dapat na isusulat mo yung gusto mo through your own decision, your own will to vote. Okay? Na hindi ka pinupuwersa. At the same time, there is no corrupt motives. Okay? Walang ibang motibo. At the same time, yung ballot mo ay kaya tinawag na sanctified, meaning it is pure, it is clean, na yung ballot mo ay mabibilang ng tama, na hindi dinadaya yung boto mo. That is what we call secrecy and sanctity of the ballot, which is given by our COMELEC, provided by our COMELEC through the legislative through our legislative house to ensure that. Okay? So, sa pamamagitan ng ating constitution, nandyan yung ating karapatan na yan. Next. Alright, next is what we call the absentee voting. As I have mentioned a while back, ang absentee voting ay para lang ito doon sa mga OFWs or Filipinos who by force of circumstances have temporarily worked and reside abroad but maintain their love and loyalty to their native land, are still part of our republic. They are also affected by the quality of public officials and policies of the government. Meaning, itong ating mga OFWs and other Filipinos abroad na hindi naman sila citizen sa ibang bansa, yung loyalty nila ay dito pa rin sa Pilipinas. So therefore, they also have the right to cast their vote because it affects also their condition when government is deciding in terms of different policies, naapektuhan din sila. So they have to also participate in the election. So ito yung sinasabi ko na absentee voting. Although they are absent in the country, the Philippines, they are still part of the Philippines. So wherever they are, they have to also participate in election. Kaya may pinapadala ng ating gobyerno through the consulate na magbibigay sila also ng chance to these Filipinos to cast their vote. Okay? So para mapabilang din sila. Now, next we have the party system. Party system, when we talk of party system, this is referred to as the interaction of parties with each other. The party system is not equated to parties because a party system is seen as macro perspective, whereas parties are micro parties, just focusing on the particular party. It could be said that the life of a political system depends upon the kind of party system it has. Okay? So meaning, ang party system ay tumutukoy dun sa tinatawag na sistema ng politika sa ating bansa. Okay? While political parties is also nakatuon lang siya dun sa kung ano yung affairs ng isang political entity or political party, katulad ng na-mention ko a while back. So, party system, ito yung sistema ng political party sa ating bansa. So, katulad sa atin, meron tayong multi-party system. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong iba't ibang uri ng political party na nagbibigay ng candidates para maglaban-laban sa posisyon. Multi-party system yon. Ibig sabihin, it is more than two political parties are engaged in the participation of our government. Okay, so yun ang political party system, multi-party system. Uh, Other type is the two-party system. Ito yung katulad sa US, no? Sa US, meron lang silang dalawang political party, the Republican and the Democrat. So, kung titingnan natin, magkaiba yung sistema nila sa atin. In our country, whatever political party you are in, as long as you are elected by the government, pwede kang maging part of the government. But in the United States, kung sino yung uh, halimbawa, gusto nila sa president, dapat kasama na yung lahat ng mga kasama niya doon sa party. Yun din ang iboboto nila. So kaya tinawag siyang two-party system. So halimbawa, pinili nila yung presidente ng Democrat. So automatic lahat ng mga under niya, for example, the president down to the representatives and to the governors, kasama dapat yun sa lalabas. That's what we call two-party system. Okay, so ganun yung tinatawag na party system. The interaction of different parties, interaction of parties with each other. Okay, so yun yung sinasabing party system. Alright, classification of party system. I think this is what I have said a while back. So kanina, yung party system, ito yung interaction, meaning how is these different political parties interact with each other. That is party system. Now, in classification of party system, as I have mentioned a while back, there are two different classification. Number one is two-party system. This is what I have said a while back in the United States, no, wherein the major political parties alternate with each other in the exercise of power. Ibig sabihin, nagsasalitan lang yung dalawa. Minsan, kapag natalo yung isa, siyempre, automatic yung isa ipapalit. Kasi dalawa lang naman pinagpipilian mo. Pagdating sa election, anong iboboto mo? Is it Democrat or the Republican? So kapag binoto mo ang Democrat, automatic lahat ng kanyang mga member ng nagra-run dun sa Democrat Party, yun yung nandun sa gobyerno. Sila na automatic yung i-declare sa government. Sila na automatic na lumabas. Hindi katulad sa atin, in our country, magkakaibang party, political party ang pinanggalingan. Okay, because we are a multi-party. But in the United States, there are only two party. So kung sino yung majority na pumili sa isang party, yun na rin ang magiging government, part of the government. Then we have what we call the multi-party system, which is our country, no? As an example, more than two political parties fight in an election. No single party gets the majority control of power. So walang sino mang isang political party lang ang nangongontrol ng gobyerno. Halimbawa, liberal, katulad ng panahon ni Noynoy, hindi ibig sabihin na lahat ng mga lumabas na kasama niya ay puro liberal, hindi, magkakaiba. Because you are in a political multi-party system. Okay, parties may become identified as either leftist or rightist or center parties, depending upon the tendency of their political views. So ang ano lang naman, no? The only distinction of these leftist and rightist and also center parties are through their political views. So when we talk of leftist, kaya tinawag siyang leftist is because ang party na ito ay kumukontra sa gobyerno. So they are considered as leftists. Rightists are the party who are in the power or nandun sa gobyerno. They are the rightists. Pag center, sila yung mga party na neutral, walang kinikilingan. Hindi sila kumukontra at hindi rin sila minsan sumasang-ayon kung ano lang yung dapat. That's what we call center parties. Now, let us now analyze this, no? Ito na, nailagay na dito yung just the distinction. Leftist is the reform-minded party which seeks to change the existing condition of the country. So, tinawag silang leftist. Sa ating bansa, in our country, we identify the leftists, those who are against the government. Just like today, we usually refer the leftists as the Makabayan Bloc. Kasi sila yung laging kumukontra sa ating government. So, tinawag silang mga Makabayan Bloc kasi pare-parehas lang yan na kumukontra sa gobyerno. The rightists, sila mismo yung kampi sa gobyerno. Center party, sila naman yung walang kinakampihan, neutral. So they adopted policies which are mix of both left and right. Ibig sabihin, sinasang-ayunan nila yung sa tingin nila ay tama, it's either galing sa pananaw ng leftist or sa rightist. Okay, yun yung tinatawag na center parties. Okay, the third one is the one-party system. Only one political party holds power either because it towers above the others or because it suppresses all groups. So, ang example ng one-party system ay yung katulad sa China. Ito yung tinatawag na Chinese Communist Party. Iisa lang yun, wala nang iba. Sila lang nagte-take over as a system. So, only one political party, wala na silang kalaban. Pero madami yan. Okay? Since they are the Socialist Republic, okay, so it's a one-party system. So, handaan nyo. The only choice left to voters are, okay, remember this, ang pinaka natitirang choice nyo lang sa atin lang, no, mga bumoboto is number 1, to decide whether or not to vote. Unang choice mo is didesisyonan mo ang sarili mo kung ikaw ba ay gusto mong bumoto or hindi. Second choice, to vote yes or no for the designated candidates. Okay? To vote yes or no meaning you select this candidate or not. That is only the choice you left on you as a voter. So, I guess, nakuha nyo na ano ibig sabihin. Now, let's move to the function of the party. Tinatawag nating political party kanina. What are the functions? Sa tingin nyo, ano bang ginagampanan nitong mga party na ito? Bakit kailangan mag-exist? Why do we need to have a political party in the country? Number 1, first of all, kapag may party, magkakaroon ng competition. So, it's very good to have a competition. Kasi kung walang competition, walang makikreate na what we call best na natatawag. Okay? Wala tayong pagpipilian. So, it's very important to have a competition. So, party serves as a place or venue to organize the competition. In that way, we can select who is better to serve our interests. Second, unify the electorate. The form of party function, the function of party is that it unifies the electorate. Ibig sabihin, pinagbubuklod tayo as an electorate, tayo mga bumoboto. Sa pamamagitan ng political party na pagbubuklod tayo. Second, inspire and inform voters. Diba? Pagdating ng election, di ba, magkakaroon tayo ng knowledge or awareness for every candidate. Kasi sila yung nagpo-promote, no, through political allies nila, no. Sila mismo yung nagbibigay ng campaign, ano, nag-advertise in any platform, papakilala nila yung kung sinong candidate na ito, ano yung kanyang background. So it will inspire us and it inform us as voters. Second, translate preferences into policy. So remember, bakit na-create ang political party? First of all is because the reason they have political party is because of their own ideas or principles. Gusto nilang magkaroon ng pagbabago sa gobyerno. So they created this what we call political party. Kaya meron tayong liberal, meron tayong UNO, meron tayong Nationalista Party or United Nationalist Party, ganon, and others. Bawat party na ito, each of these political party has their own what we call policies to be implemented. They have their own plan for our country. So, once they are elected, once na na-elect yung kanilang candidate sa gobyerno, then i-implement na nila ngayon yung kanilang mga preferences as a party. Ano yung gusto nilang mangyari sa gobyerno? Doon na nila gagawin as a policy through yung elected official. Okay? So, mag-i-implement na siya ngayon, mag-suggest na siya ng mga batas or programs that will translate their preferences into a policy of the government. Okay? That is one. function. Second, provide loyal opposition. Okay? Para magbigay daw or mag-provide daw ng matapat na uh, opposition. Ibig sabihin, yung matapat na taga-tingin, matapat na taga-kontra dun sa gobyerno kung alam niyang mali yung ginagawa ng gobyerno. So, it provides loyal opposition. Ino-oppose niya, nagdi-disagree siya kung alam niyang hindi tama yung ipinapatupad ngayon ng gobyerno. So, that's why there is what we call party. Sixth, organized government. Okay? Para ma-organisa, para mabuo no, ang ating gobyerno through political parties. Our government is being organized, it's because of the different parties in our country. They come from our different political parties. Next, to help govern our country. Okay? That's the function, actually. The positive function of political parties is to help us, to help our country govern, to manage our country also. And then, the next one, act as watchdogs. Okay, it acts as a watchdogs. Ibig sabihin, ang ating political party, nagsisilbi din silang bantay sa ating bansa, sa ating gobyerno. Dahil kung walang titingin kung ano yung tama at hindi tama, magkakaroon ng kaguluhan o magkakaroon ng abuse of power ng ating government. So it's very important na there are oppositions through these political parties. Mas maganda na merong mga nag-o-oppose kahit paano. Makikita nila titimbangin ng tama. And the last one, nominate candidates. Yan ang pinaka nila, no? Isa sa mga layunin nila. The reason we have these political parties para sila mismo yung mag-nominate, sila yung mag-suggest. They will be the one to select as a political party and endorse a member to become a leader, okay, to run for a position in the government. So they will see the qualifications of the member, then they will endorse that and run for any position in the government to nominate candidates. So these are the important functions of political party. And then the last one, to ensure candidate quality. Yan ang pinaka-importante. The reason na meron tayong political parties, different political parties, one of that is para matiyak nila. So that these political parties will ensure that the candidates to be elected is a qualified candidates. Okay? So that's one. Now, let's move to the political party. When we define this, we're going to define political party. This is an organization that seeks political power by electing people to office so that its positions in philosophy become public policy. So, ibig sabihin, ang tinutukoy ng political party is that isa siyang organization. It's an organization na it seeks political power. Gusto magkaroon ng political power. Karoon ng kapangyarihan sa politika sa pamamagitan ng pagluklok ng isang tao sa public office, sa gobyerno. So that yung kanyang posisyon and philosophy, yung posisyon ng political party na ito at ang filosofiya ng party na ito ay magiging public policy. Ibig sabihin, magiging polisiya rin ng ating gobyerno. Okay, another definition is that it's a political organization that aims to attain and maintain political power within government, usually by participating in electoral campaigns. Okay, so parang parehas lang doon sa una, no? It is to maintain political power within the government through participation in electoral campaigns. Okay, according to Haywood in 2002 in Aceron, na sinulat ni Aceron, for his part, provides the following list of functions that political parties must perform. So, ito yung mga function na kailangan i-perform ng iba't ibang political parties. Number one, representation. Okay, representation. You represent. Okay, representation. Ang representation, it means the capacity to respond and to articulate the views of both members and the voters. That's why representation means, no? That's what representation means. So, ang pinaka-ultimate goal ng political parties ay para ma-represent nila sa gobyerno, para mabigyan sila ng pagkakataon na maisaad yung kanilang layunin. Ganon din sa mga sa mga taong ganon din ang kanilang layunin. Okay? Second, elite formation and recruitment. I think na-mention na kanina. No? Sa pamamagitan ng political party, ang function nila is to recruit, para mag-develop, para mag-recruit, to train future leaders or political elite, mga magagaling na mga politiko para mamahala sa ating government, okay, sa body politic. Number 3, goal formulation. The reason why we have political parties is to formulate goals. Okay, the development of what do we have this projects of programs of government, ano? Yung pagbuo ng mga programs ng government with a view of attracting popular popular suffrage. I think that's popular suffrage. So, goal formulation para makabuo ng mga layunin. Then, the fourth one, interest articulation and aggregation. So, interest articulation and aggregation meaning the task of combining and harmonizing different demands and expressing them into coherent formulation. Isa ito sa mga reason bakit may political party is that yung ating interest ay yung interest ng political party ay maisaad or when we talk of articulation ay mai-present ng maayos. Okay? And harmonize different demands. Ibig sabihin, mapagbuo yung iba't ibang mga kagustuhan, no? Mabuo ng tama, okay? Ma-express ng tama na makakuha ng isang mga formula para makagawa ng mga tawag doon, mga ideas na makakatulong sa ating government. Number 5, socialization and mobilization. Okay. Po, socialization and mobilization, yung political party, ito ay magkakaroon ng socialization and mobilization. Yung sa pamamagitan the formation of a national agenda and the creation of public discourse to raise political awareness and build the necessary values and attitude that would constitute a larger political culture. So sa pamamagitan ng political party, sa pamamagitan nito, ma-organize yung tinatawag na mabubuo yung tinatawag na national agenda. When we talk of national agenda, yung mga hangarin na para sa kabutihan ng ating gobyerno, ng ating bansa. And then magkaroon ng mga mabuting pag-uusap, okay? Or what we call discourse. Pagkakaroon ng maayos na pag-uusap ng publiko para maipakita yung tinatawag na political awareness. Okay? Political awareness meaning magkaroon ng kamalayan ang mga tao pagdating sa political issues and build the necessary values and attitude that would constitute a larger political culture para makabuo ng mga marapat lamang na mga pagpapahalaga o mga attitude o yung mga kaugalian na bumubuo sa tinatawag na malaking kultura ng politika. That is socialization. Now, let's have the Philippine party system. Ang ating Philippine party system ay makikita yan sa ating Omnibus Election Code that has the following provisions. Ito yung mga provision na nakasaad dyan tungkol sa political Philippine party system that define political party functions during election. So pagdating ito ng election, ito yung mga kinakailangan na gampanin ng bawat party. Okay, bago magkaroon ng election, parties must be furnished a copy of COMELEC directives and orders in pursuant to the provisions. So, bago magkaroon ng election, itong mga different political parties ay dapat magkaroon sila ng copy ng mga COMELEC na mga panuntunan. Pangalawa, parties must be notified by the COMELEC in the use of technological electronic devices. Ibig sabihin, before election, sa pagsagawa ng eleksyon, ang COMELEC ay magbibigay ng information na kung ano yung gagamitin pagdating sa eleksyon. It's either electronic or technological devices na gagamitin or manual casting of votes. Pwede naman yon. Pangatlo, parties must be provided guidelines for campaign spending. Katulad ng mga pagdating sa campaign, 'di ba, laging nasa katalastas na ang mga walang malaking ginastos ang kandidato kasi merong guidelines ang ating uh, COMELEC that a candidate must not spend uh, more than what is in the guideline because it will be punishable by law. Okay, so there are guidelines that are related to spending or campaign spending. Because if you spend too much, this is a sign that you will be uh, you will be collecting this in the future if you are an elected official. Okay, that will be the sign. That will be the that will lead to what we call being a corrupt official. Okay. Next, parties must limit their spending. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo that one of the guidelines that every party should at least spend 150 pesos per voter. So if we have 3 million voters at least, in the Philippines, the entire Philippines, if we have 3 million voters, you have to at least spend not more than 4.5 million in the campaign. Okay? So kasi 150 per voter of each candidate. So dapat hindi ka lalagpas sa 150 pesos per voter. Ibig sabihin, if you multiply that to 3 million times 1.5, that is about 1 and how much is that? 3 million? 4.5 million. Okay? Pesos. The two major parties shall have a representative each in the board election inspector in every precinct and board canvassers. So, ang bawat party doon, kung sino yung nagra-run, there will be a representative for them. So, makikita naman natin yan, in every election, meron kung sino yung nagbabantay, sila yung representative. All parties can have a watcher. Ito na yung sasabi natin. All parties have a watcher. Sila yung mga nagbabantay sa polling place. Yung sasabing representative, the two major parties shall have a representative each in the Board of Election Inspector. Ito yung para doon sa mga magka-count ng votes. Dapat may representative. Dito naman sa watcher, sila naman yung nagtumitingin kung may nagdadaya ng pag-count ng vote. Parties may hold party conventions or meetings to nominate their official candidates 30 days before the campaign period and 40 days for presidential and presidential candidates. So, usually before election, 30 days before election, each party are declaring their candidates. Alright, another provision is parties should be notified by the COMELEC before the printing of emergency ballot, which means in cases there are emergency printing of ballots, dapat the COMELEC are notifying the parties kung merong emergency. Next one, second to the last. The two major parties may send representatives to verify the content. This is very evident in the election period. This is during or after the election period na merong dapat na mga representative na giikot kung sino yung mga candidate na kukuha ng kanilang copy of statement kung ilan yung mga bumoto at anong resulta. Parties may raise a pre-proclamation controversy. Ibig sabihin, if they are not satisfied with the proclamation, these parties kung involved, they can have a protest para magkaroon ng recounting of ballots. Okay? So, I think that is all about the provision and that concludes our lesson. Now, before we dismiss, any questions? Do you have any question that you want to raise? Well, if you have any questions, you may raise your questions in our messenger. You may message me. And if there are no more questions, please expect a performance test in this topic, or at the same time I will be giving you a short quiz or assessment in this particular topic. Okay, see you for in the next video. Bye bye for now, and God bless everyone.